Hello, welcome to another episode of the Dictionary. First word for today is affectation, affectation. This is a noun from 1548. 1a, the act of talking on or displaying an attitude or mode of behavior not natural to oneself or not genuinely felt. 1b, speech or conduct not natural to oneself. Artificiality is the synonym. And 2 is obsolete. The definition is a striving after. And then there's a synonym. It says, see the word pose, P-O-S-E. Next is affected. This is an adjective from 1587. 1 has the synonyms inclined and disposed, as in was well affected toward her. 2a, given to or marked by affectation, as in spoke in an affected manner. 2b, assumed artificially or falsely. Pretended is a synonym, as in an affected interest in art. Affectedly is the adverb, and affectedness is a noun. Next is affecting, with an ing at the end. This is an adjective from 1720, evoking a strong emotional response. Synonym is moving. Affectingly is an adverb. Next is affection. This is a noun from the 13th century. 1, a moderate feeling or emotion. 2, tender attachment. Fondness is a synonym, as in she had a deep affection for her parents. 3a1, a bodily condition. 3a2, the synonyms are disease and malady. 3b, attribute is the synonym, as in shape and weight are affections of bodies. 4 is obsolete. The synonyms are partiality and prejudice. 5, the feeling aspect, as in pleasure, of consciousness. 6a has the synonyms propensity and disposition. 6b is archaic, and it has the synonym affectation. 1. 7 is the action of affecting, the state of being affected. The synonym for all is feeling. Affectionless is an adjective. Lots of short definitions for affection. Next is affectional. This is an adjective from 1859, of or relating to the affections. Affectionally is the adverb. Next is affectionate. This is an adjective from the 15th century. 1 is obsolete. The synonyms inclined and disposed. 2, having affection or warm regard. The synonym is loving, as in affectionate friends. 3, motivated by affection. The synonym is tender, as in affectionate care. Affectionately is the adverb. Next is affectioned. So it's affection with an ed at the end. This is an adjective from 1555. This is archaic, which is no surprise to me because I have never heard this word. The definition is having a tendency, disposition, or inclination, and the synonym is disposed. Next is affective. This is an adjective from 1623. 1, relating to, arising from, or influencing feelings or emotions. The synonym is emotional, as in cognitive and affective symptoms. 2, expressing emotion, as in affective language. Affectively is an adverb, and affectivity is a noun. And just to be clear, this is affective with an A at the beginning, not an E. Effective is a different word. We will get there later. Next is affective disorder. This is a noun from 1937, and it just has the synonym mood disorder. Next is affectless. Affectless. This is an adjective from 1967. showing or expressing no emotion. Also, the synonym unfeeling, as in a ruthless, affectless society. Affectlessness is a noun. Next is a word I do not know. Affenpinscher. Affenpinscher. I think that's how it's pronounced. Affenpinscher. Affenpinscher. Noun. From 1903. Any of a breed of toy dogs with a wiry black, red, tan, or gray coat, erect ears, large round eyes, and bushy eyebrows, chin, tuft, and mustache. The synonym says this is German, which I was thinking it looked kind of like a German word, which is combining A-F-F-E, which means ape, plus pinscher, which is a breed of hunting dog. So the word is Affenpinscher. They might pronounce it slightly differently. But it's 1903. It's kind of old. I might need to look up what these dogs look like. I've never heard of this breed, but I'm definitely not an expert on dog breeds. Next is afferent. A-F-F-E-R-E-N-T. First form of it. This is an adjective, circa 1847. Bearing or conducting inward, specifically conveying impulses toward the central nervous system. And it says compare to the word efferent, E-F-F-E-R-E-N-T. Afferently is the adverb. The etymology is saying this is from the Latin afferre, which means to bring to, and that is from ferre, which means to bear, B-E-A-R, and there's more at the word bear. Next is the second form of afferent. This is a noun from 1949. An afferent anatomical part, as a nerve. Next is the first form of affiance. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly according to the pronunciation guide. Affiance, A-F-F-I-A-N-C-E. This is a noun from the 14th century. The etymology is longer than the definition. This is archaic. The synonyms are trust and confidence. The etymology is saying this is from the Anglo-French affier, which means to pledge or trust. And that is from the Middle Latin affidare, which means to pledge. And that is from fidare, VL, I don't know what something Latin, which vidare, which means to trust. And there's more at the word fiancé. Next is the second form of affiance. This is a transitive verb from 1555. To solemnly promise oneself or another in marriage. And the synonym is betroth. Next is affiant, with an A-N-T at the end. This is a noun from 1807. One who swears to an affidavit. Broadly, the synonym deponent. Deponent or deponent? I feel like I should know how to pronounce that word, but I don't. Apologies. Next is aficionado. This is a variation of aficionado. This one has two Fs, and the variation has one F, and we will get to that word, not in the next couple episodes. Not on this page, that's for sure. And the last word for this episode is affidavit. A-F-F-I-D-A-F-I-T. This is a noun from 1593, a sworn statement in writing made especially under oath or on affirmation before an authorized magistrate or officer. That will be the end of the episode. Apologies if you heard some dishes clanking. I am at work in an audio booth, and nearby is a kitchen. Usually the door is closed, or the second door is closed, but I have not closed it because I don't care right now. That's the end of the episode. Thank you for listening. I will talk to you in the next one. Goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of The Dictionary. We are halfway through page 21. We will start this episode with the word affiliate, however you want to pronounce it. It is recommending affiliate, and yeah, it looks like the second form is affiliate, AFFILIATE. This is a verb from 1761. The transitive definitions are 1a, to bring or receive into close connection as a member or branch. 1b, to associate as a member, as in affiliates herself with the local club. 2, to trace the origin of. The intransitive definition is to connect or associate oneself. The synonym is combine. Affiliation is a noun. The etymology says this is from the Middle Latin affiliare, which means to adopt as a son. That is from filius, which means son, and there's more at the word feminine. How interesting that the word feminine seems like it also comes from filius, but that means son. Interesting gender swapping situation there. That is really interesting. Next is the second form of affiliate, but it is pronounced affiliate. This is a noun from 1879, an affiliated person or organization. Next is affiliated, and that seems like that is the correct pronunciation. This is an adjective from 1795, closely associated with another, typically in a dependent or subordinate position, as in the university and its affiliated medical school. Next is the first form of affine. Affine? I think that's how it's pronounced. AFFINE. Or is it affine? It might be affine, actually. That makes more sense. I don't know why I said it the other way before. This is a noun circa 1509. A relative by marriage. And the synonym is in-law. IN-LAW. Affine. I never heard this in terms of being related to somebody. So if it is a noun, I want to see this. I want to see an example of this in a sentence. So I might have to look that one up. But the etymology is saying this is from the Latin affinis, which means related. Next is the second form of affine. This is an adjective from 1918 of relating to or being a transformation as a translation, a rotation, or a uniform stretching that carries straight lines into straight lines and parallel lines into parallel lines, but may alter distance between points and angles between lines, as in affine geometry, and affinely is the adverb. That was an unexpected geometry definition. It's always kind of interesting when something very mathematical or scientific or whatever comes out, something that's very specific to a type of thing, and I start reading straight lines into straight lines and parallel lines into parallel lines. But that was just how I reacted. Next is affined. AFFINED. This is an adjective from 1597. 1. Joined in a close relationship. The synonym is connected. 2. Bound by obligation. Next is affinity. This is a noun from the 14th century. 1. Relationship by marriage. 2a. Sympathy marked by community of interest. Kinship is a synonym. 2b1. An attraction to or liking for something, as in people with an affinity to darkness. That's from Mark Twain. Or pork and fennel have a natural affinity for each other. That's from Abby Mandel or Mandel. 2b2 is an attractive force between substances or particles that causes them to enter into and remain in chemical combination. 2c, a person, especially of the opposite sex, having a particular attraction for one. 3a, likeness based on relationship or causal connection, as in found an affinity between the teller of a tale and the craftsman. That is from Mary McCarthy. Also, as in, this investigation with affinities to a case history, a psychoanalysis, a detective story. That is from Oliver Sacks. 3b, a relation between biological groups involving resemblance in structural plan and indicating a common origin, and the synonym is attraction. Next is affinity card. This is a noun from 1977, a credit card which is issued in affiliation with a participating organization as a charity or an airline, and the use of which earns a benefit for the organization or the card holder. I never realized that those are called affinity cards. Next is affinity why is this word hard? Chromatography. Again, it's always about where is the emphasis, which syllable is emphasized. Chromatography. There we go. Noun from 1970. You probably have a great time listening to me stumble over these relatively easy words. They're not all easy words, but some of them are stupid easy. All right, the definition is chromatography. I think I want to add another syllable. That might be part of the problem. Chromatography, in which a macromolecule, as a protein, is isolated and purified by passing it in solution through a column treated with a substance having a ligand, for which the macromolecule has an affinity that causes it to be retained on the column. Kind of a long definition. Moving on, next is affinity group, and this will be the last word for this episode. This is a noun from 1970. A group of people having a common interest or goal, or acting together for a specific purpose, as for a chartered tour. That is it for this episode. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, this is Spencer reading the dictionary. Thank you and goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of the dictionary. First word for today is affirm, A-F-F-I-R-M. This is a verb from the 14th century. Transitive definitions are 1a. The synonyms are validate and confirm. 1b. To state positively, as in he affirmed his innocence. 2. To assert as a judgment or decree as valid or confirmed. 3. To express dedication to, as in affirm life. The intransitive definitions are 1. To testify or declare by affirmation as distinguished from swearing an oath. 2. To uphold a judgment or decree of a lower court. It says see the word assert, A-S-S-E-R-T. Affirmable is an adjective, and affirmance is a noun. Next is affirmation. This is a noun from the 15th century. 1a, the act of affirming. 1b, something affirmed. A positive assertion. 2, a solemn declaration made under the penalties of perjury by a person who conscientiously declines taking an oath. Next is affirmative. This is I'm getting distracted because, that's why. I will explain in a second. This is the first form of affirmative. And I thought that this word did come up before, and it did. 3 episodes ago, we had the abbreviation for affirmative, which is AFF. So, the definition for this is an adjective from the 15th century. 1. Asserting a predicate of a subject. 2. Asserting that the fact is so. 3. It has the synonym positive, as in affirmative approach. 4. Favoring or supporting a proposition or motion. Affirmatively is an adverb. Next is the second form of affirmative. This is a noun from the 15th century. 1. An expression, as the word yes, of affirmation or assent. 2. An affirmative proposition. 3. The side that upholds the proposition stated in a debate. Next is affirmative action. This is a noun from 1965. An active effort to improve the employment or educational opportunities of members of minority groups and women. Also, a similar effort to promote the rights or progress of other disadvantaged persons. There has been a lot of discussion about affirmative action ever since this word was coined in 1965, I guess. It seems to me, someone who honestly is not very smart and not very politically involved, it seems like it's a very complicated issue. There are good and bad things about it, so it's probably worth having a very calm conversation with some people who have more knowledge about it to learn. That's probably something I should do. Again, it's a pretty complicated issue, and it deserves more discussion in this world, I think. That's about all I can say. Next is the word affix, first form, A-F-F-I-X. This is a transitive verb from 1533. 1. To attach physically, as in affix a stamp to a letter. How often does anybody put a stamp on a letter these days? Not nearly as often as they used to. Next, 2. To attach in any way. The synonyms are add and append, as in affix a signature to a document. 3 has the synonym impress, as in affixed my seal. Another synonym in general says see the word fasten, F-A-S-T-E-N. Affixable is an adjective. Affixation is a noun. And affixment is also a noun. Next is the second form of affix. By the way, the etymology is saying this is from the Latin affigere, which means to fasten to. That is from figere, which means to fasten, and there's more at the word fix. So the second form is a noun from 1612. 1 or more sounds or letters occurring as a bound form attached to the beginning or end of a word, base or phrase, or inserted within a word or base and serving to produce a derivative word or an inflectional form. My brain did not really understand that. But number 2 definition for affix has the synonym appendage. Affixal, A-F-F-I-X-A-L, or affixial are adjectives. Next is afflatus. I think that is the correct pronunciation. A-F-F-L-A-T-U-S. This is a noun from 1660, a divine imparting of knowledge or power. The synonym is inspiration. The etymology says this is from the Latin. It doesn't give a word right away. It says the act of blowing or breathing on. This is from afflare, that's the Latin afflare, to blow on. That is from flare, looks like the word flare, which means to blow, and there's more at the word blow. Next and last word for this episode is afflict, A-F-F-L-I-C-T. This is a transitive verb from the 14th century. 1 is obsolete. 1A has the synonym humble. 1B has the synonym overthrow. 2A, to distress so severely as to cause persistent suffering or anguish, as in afflicted with arthritis. 2B has the synonyms trouble and injure. And now we have much longer synonym information. Ready, set, go. Afflict, try, torment, torture, and rack mean to inflict on a person something that is hard to bear. Afflict is a general term and applies to the causing of pain or suffering or of acute annoyance embarrassment, or any distress, as in ills that afflict the elderly. Try suggests imposing something that strains the powers of endurance or of self-control, as in children often try their parents' patience. Torment suggests persecution or the repeated inflicting of suffering or annoyance, as in a horse tormented by flies. Torture adds the implication of causing unbearable pain or suffering, as in tortured by a sense of guilt. And rack stresses straining or wrenching, as in a body racked by pain. That will do it for this episode. That was the end of page 21. Next is page 23. No, 22. Thank you for listening, and goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of the dictionary. Right off the bat, I want to say I am recording this on Monday, I think April 29th, 2019, or 2019 actually, as I prefer to say. This was a big weekend for nerds. Avengers Endgame came out on technically Thursday, but well, I guess technically Friday, but really it was Thursday because there were a crazy amount of showings on Thursday night. I did go see it Friday afternoon. I approve. That's all I'm going to say for those who have not seen it by this time. It was a big movie. That is for damn sure. And then last night, Sunday, was the third episode of the 8th season of Game of Thrones. Again, I won't say much for those of you who have not seen it, but it was also a big one. It was almost an hour and a half for one episode. What can I say? I am just going to dub this past weekend the Stark Weekend. That's it for that. Let's get to the words. First word for today is affliction, affliction. This is a noun from the 14th century. 1. The state of being afflicted. 2. The cause of persistent pain or distress. 3. Great suffering. Sounds very depressing. Next word is afflictive. This is an adjective from 1611. Causing affliction. Distressing is a synonym and troublesome is also a synonym, as in afflictive emotions, and afflictively is the adverb. Next is affluence, or affluence, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Yes, in fact, both forms are appropriate and legal. This is a noun from the 14th century. 1a, an abundant flow or supply. The synonym is profusion. 1b, abundance of property, and the synonym is wealth. 2, a flowing to or toward a point, and the synonym is influx. Next word is affluency. Affluency. This is a noun from 1664. It just has the synonym affluence, the word we just read. Next is the word affluent with an ENT at the end. This is the first form of it. It is an adjective from the 15th century. 1. Flowing in abundance, as in affluent streams or affluent creativity. I wish I had affluent creativity. 2. Having a generously sufficient and typically increasing supply of material possessions, as in our affluent society. The synonym says, see the word rich. Affluently is the adverb. The etymology is saying this is from the Latin affluent or affluens, which is from affluere, which means to flow to or flow abundantly. That is from fluere, which means to flow, and there's more at the word fluid. Second form of affluent. This is a noun from 1818. 1. A tributary stream. 2. An affluent person. Next is the word afford, A-F-F-O-R-D. This is a transitive verb from the 14th century. 1a, to manage to bear without serious detriment. As in, you can't afford to neglect your health. That is true, because if you neglect your health, you are going to have a lot of problems. And if you want to deal with those problems, that's fine. Personally, I don't want to. I would like to be healthy, so I have less problems to deal with. 1b, to be able to bear the cost of, as in, can't afford to be out of work long. Unfortunately, with our society and our culture of money and things like that, pretty much money, no, you can't afford to be out of work long because you need money, which I think is stupid. 2, to make available, give forth, or provide naturally or inevitably, as in, the sun affords warmth to the earth. Thank you, sun. My wife and I joke every once in a while, the sun, what has it ever done for any of us? Clearly, that is a ridiculous statement because it has done everything. We owe everything to the sun. Our life, literally, because of the sun. Thanks, sun. The synonym says, see the word give. Affordability is a noun, affordable is an adjective, and affordably is an adverb. Etymology for afford is Middle English aforthen, which is from the Old English geforthian, which means to carry out. And I believe that is from the prefix ge, which maybe means perfective, and then forthian, which means to carry out, and that is from the word forth, and there's more at the word coforth, coforth. I've never heard of coforth. Moving on, afforestation, affforestation. It's like the word forestation, which I don't even know if that is a word, plus af at the beginning. This is a noun from 1649. The act or process of establishing a forest, especially on land not previously forested. Afforest is a transitive verb. The etymology is saying this is from afforestare, which means to put under forest laws. Whoa, the Latins had a word that means to put under forest laws. That is highly specific. That is from, I guess, foresta or forestis, which just means forest. Next is affray, affray. This is a noun from the 14th century. This is the first form of affray. 1 is archaic. It just has these synonyms fray, F-R-A-Y, and brawl. 2 is chiefly British, a fight in a public place that disturbs the peace. So you don't want to get into an affray. Second form of affray is a transitive verb. This is from, a lot of etymology information. 14th century, this is archaic. It has the synonyms startle and frighten. And the etymology is saying this is from the Middle English affrayen, which means to attack, brawl, disturb, or frighten. That is from the Anglo-French affrayer, or effreer, E-F-F-R-E-E-R. I sound like I'm saying gibberish. To me, it sounds like that. And that is from something Latin, VL, exfridare. That is from fridare. And that looks like it's saying it's of Germanic origin, akin to OHG, which I think is some like an old German word, which is fridu, F-R-I-D-U, which means peace. There's also Old English freo, which means free, and there's more at the word free. That was a lot of complicated etymology information. Next is affricate, A-F-F-R-I-C-A-T-E. This is a noun from 1880, a stop, and it's immediately following release into a fricative that are considered to constitute a single phoneme, as the T and SH of CH in choose. Aha, okay. And by the way, a fricative is a noun or an adjective. Let's read the etymology before we get into the definition a little bit more. It is saying it's probably from the German affricata or the Latin affricata, which is the feminine of affricatus, which is from affricare, which means to rub against, which is from fricare, which means to rub. Weird. And there's more at the word friction. That makes sense. I'm not sure what the affricate, where to rub comes from. But anyway, I think what they're saying is the T and the SH of choose, the ch sound could be spelled, or if you were to write it phonetically, could be a T and an SH sound combined, like they're rubbing up against each other. I don't know, that's kind of weird. But hey, they do what they want to do. So let me just reread the definition again. A stop and its immediately following release into a fricative, I should learn what a fricative is, that are considered to constitute a single phoneme. A phoneme, I think in this case, is just like a single sound that your mouth makes. Phoneticist, please let me know if I'm right. Contact info is in the episode details. Next, we have affright. First form. This is a transitive verb from before the 12th century. Definition is archaic. It has these synonyms frighten and alarm. And it's kind of funny to me that this is archaic because I feel like I have actually heard people use the word affright, but more so than these other archaic words I've heard. Second form of affright is a noun from 1596, also archaic. The definition says sudden and great fear, and the synonym is the word terror, Terror. The etymology for affright is from the Middle English, affright, spelled a couple different ways, A-F-R-I-G-H-T or A-F-Y-R-H-T, which means frightened. By the way, our spelling here is A-F-F-R-I-G-H-T. This is from the Old English, affright, spelled the same as the weird one, but with a line over the A. That is from affirtan, which means to frighten, and this from fritan, which means to fear, akin to the Old English frito, which means fright, and there's more at the words abide and fright. There's so much of that I just don't understand what I'm reading. But moving on, no, I think that will be the last word for this episode, affright. Thank you for listening. We are about a quarter of the way through page 22. And until next time, this is Spencer reading the dictionary. Thank you for listening. Goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of the dictionary. First word for today is affront. A-F-F-R-O-N-T. This is the first form of it. This is a transitive verb from the 14th century. 1a, an insult, especially to the face, by behavior or language. 1b, to cause offense to, as in laws that affront society. 2, to face in defiance. Confront is a synonym, as in affront death. 3, to appear directly before, and the synonym says, see the word offend. Second form of affront is a noun from 1533. 1 is obsolete, a hostile encounter. 2, a deliberate offense. Insult is a synonym, as in an affront to his dignity. The etymology is saying this is from affronter, Anglo-French, which means to defy, and paring this down, it looks like there's, it's also from Latin fruns, which means forehead. Forehead. Next word is AFFT, all lowercase. This is an abbreviation for affidavit, a word that we have read in the past. Next is affusion. This is a noun from 1615, an act of pouring a liquid on, as in baptism. So when they are performing a baptism, the act of pouring the liquid on the baby or the person is called affusion. This is from the Latin affundere, which means to pour on, and that is from fundere, which means to pour, and there's more at the word found, F-O-U-N-D. Next is Afghan, capital A, F-G-H-A-N. This is a noun from 1742, 1A1. It has the synonym Pashtun, P-A-S-H-T-U-N. I don't know what that is. 1A2. The synonym is Pashto, P-A-S-H-T-O. I should probably look up what the hell those are. 1B, a native or inhabitant of Afghanistan. 2, not capitalized, a blanket or shawl of colored yarn knitted or crocheted in strips or squares. And just real quick, growing up, we had an Afghan on a couch if we ever wanted to get a little bit warmer. And I and some other either friends or family members, I can't remember who, usually probably just me, would just make a stupid joke and put it on my head and say, "I'm in Afghanistan." And I had no idea what I was saying. I was just being stupid. Number 3, not capitalized. A Turkoman carpet of large size and long pile woven in geometric designs. And number 4, the synonym is Afghan hound. So there's a dog called an Afghan hound, I guess. Afghan or Afghani is an adjective, and there is a picture, a black and white picture of an Afghan hound. It is very, very furry. Go look up a picture. And next is actually Afghan hound. This is a noun from 1925. Any of a breed of tall, slim, swift hunting dogs originating in Afghanistan with a coat of silky, thick hair and a long, silky top knot. I can just imagine seeing an Afghan hound hipster with a top knot on their head. Next is Afghani, not capitalized. This is a noun from 1927. It just says, see the money table, the table at the word money. And the etymology is saying this is Persian for Afghani, literally of the Pashtuns. So Pashtun and probably Pashto are an area, a geometric. A geographic area. I think that's correct. Next is AFib, capital A-F-I-B. It is a noun from 1988. It means, the synonym is atrial fibrillation. That's what AFib is. Next is aficionado or aficionado, however you want to pronounce it. I think it is pronounced many different ways. This is from the Spanish feminine of aficionado. Oh, this is aficionada, and the next is aficionado. This is from 1866. It is a noun, if I didn't say that. A woman who is an aficionado. What is an aficionado? Let me tell you. This is a noun from 1802. A person who likes, knows about, and appreciates a usually fervently pursued interest or activity. A devotee is a synonym, as in aficionados of the bullfight or movie aficionados. This is definitely a word that English has taken affectionately, I would say, from the Spanish language. The etymology is saying this is, like I said, Spanish, aficionar, which means to inspire affection. Apologies if you hate my pronunciation of this, but I'm just going to do it this way because this is easiest. That is from afición, which means affection. So you have affection for the thing that you are a fan of. I think saying fan is just the easy short way instead of saying aficionado. And there is more at the word affection. Next is the word afield. So it's field with an A in the front. This is an adverb or adjective from before the 12th century. 1, 2, in or on the field, as in was weak at bat but strong afield. 2, away from home. Synonym is abroad. 3, out of the way. Astray is the synonym, as in irrelevant remarks that carried us far afield. Next is afire. I'm going to guess this basically means on fire. This is an adjective or adverb from the 13th century. 1. Being on fire. Yep. Synonym is blazing. 2. Being in a state of great excitement or energy, as in her music set the audience afire. Next is AFK, all lowercase. This is an abbreviation for away from keyboard. This is definitely one of those newer words or phrases or whatever you would call this, an abbreviation that has gotten into the dictionary that is directly taken from our technological world. This is something that people started using when, Instant Messenger was created, and I'm sure people are still using it today. Away from keyboard, probably not as much used these days as it was originally, I would guess. But I think this might be the first word that I have come across in the dictionary that is directly from... I know there's a name for it, LOL, BRB, LMAO, all those. There's got to be a specific word for those that I am completely blanking on because I am Captain Brain Fart all the time. But moving on, AFL, all caps. This is an abbreviation for American Football League. Next is aflame. This is an adjective or adverb from 1555. It just has the synonym afire, and if you go back a couple words, you will see what that means. Next is aflatoxin. Let's see if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Aflatoxin, I think I am. AFLATOXIN. This is a noun from 1962. Any of several carcinogenic mycotoxins that are produced especially in stored agricultural crops as peanuts by molds. And the scientific name is, or of the molds, is Aspergillus flavus or flavus. And that is also in the etymology, New Latin. It is a species of mold plus E toxin. That's what it tells me. Next is AFL-CIO, all caps. This is an abbreviation for the American Federation of Labor and Congress of Industrial Organizations, in case you didn't know. Next is afloat. Float with the letter A at the front. This is an adjective or adverb from before the 12th century. 1A. Borne on or as if on the water, and borne is B-O-R-N-E. 1B, being at sea. 2, free of difficulties. Self-sufficient is a synonym, as in, the inheritance kept them afloat for years. 3A, circulating about, as in, nasty stories were afloat. 3B, it just has the synonym adrift. Next word is aflutter. This is an adjective from 1830. 1. Being in a flutter. Synonym is fluttering. 2. Nervously excited, as in all aflutter at the news. 3. Filled with or marked by the presence of fluttering things, as in roots aflutter with flags. Next is AFM, all caps. This is an abbreviation for atomic force microscope. What do they do with atomic force microscopes? I want to know. Next and last word for this episode is afoot, A-F-O-O-T. This is an adverb or adjective from the 13th century. 1. On foot. 2. In the process of development. Underway is a synonym, as in, a plan is underfoot to build a new school. That will end this episode. Thank you for listening. We are halfway through page 22, chugging along. Thank you for listening. Goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode. First word for today is afore, A-F-O-R-E. This is, adverb or conjunction or preposition from before the 12th century. chiefly dial. Again, I don't remember what this is, probably like in a dialogue or dialectic or like a specific dialect. The whole definition is just the synonym before. So afore means before. Etymology says this is from the Old English on, which is from on plus foron, which means before, and there's more at the word before. Lots of before. What was that? Next word is aforementioned. All one word. This is an adjective from 1587. Definition is mentioned previously. Next is aforesaid. I don't think I've ever heard of this. This is aforesaid. All one word. I'm going to guess that this means said before. This is an adjective from the 14th century. Definition is said or named before or above. Next is aforethought. And I don't know if the emphasis changes. Aforethought, aforesaid, aforementioned, I want to put the emphasis on the A, but it's not showing me that it is. Anyway, I'm just going to say aforethought. This is an adjective from the 15th century, previously in mind. The synonyms are premeditated and deliberate, as in with malice aforethought. Malice is M-A-L-I-C-E. Next is fortiori. Fortiori. That is a space. F-O-R-T-I-O-R-I. A fortiori. Let's find out what this means. This is an adverb from 1561. With greater reason or more convincing force, used in drawing a conclusion that is inferred to be even more certain than another, as in, the man of prejudice is, a fortiori, a man of limited mental vision. So in this case, I don't think the A is saying he's like a fortiori or a man or a whatever. It is just part of the phrase that he is a fortiori. The etymology doesn't... Oh, here, it says New Latin literally means from the stronger. And then in parentheses, it says argument, from the stronger argument. Still not 100% sure on what this is meaning, but that is just me and my brain. This one will probably take a little extra effort on my part to fully understand. Maybe when I'm editing this, I will do that. Next is a foul of. A foul is one word, and then of. This is a preposition from 1819. 1. In or into conflict with, as in, ran afoul of the law. 2. In or into collision of entanglement with. Next is AFP, all caps. This is an abbreviation for alpha-fetoprotein. And I guess we'll get to that in the future. Next is AFR. Just the A is capitalized. This is an abbreviation for Africa or African. Next is also AFR with a dash or AFRO with a dash. So these are suffixes, and either one of those will get used depending on the context. This is, the definition just says African, as in Afro-American, or African and, as in Afro-Asiatic. So Afro-Asiatic means African and Asian or Asiatic. Next is the word afraid, a very common word among some of these not as common words like aforesaid. Haven't heard that. I haven't heard that since the 14th century. Okay, so afraid, this is an adjective from the 14th century. 1, filled with fear or apprehension, as in afraid of machines, or afraid for his job. 2, filled with concern or regret over an unwanted situation, as in I'm afraid I won't be able to go. 3, having a dislike for something, as in afraid of hard work. The synonym is the word fearful. The etymology is saying this is from the Middle English affrayen, which means to frighten, and there's more at the word affray, A-F-F-R-A-Y, which I think we read in the last episode, or the one before that. Moving on. A-frame, capital A dash frame. This is a noun circa 1909. 1. A support structure shaped like the letter A. 2. A building typically having triangular front and rear walls and a roof reaching to or nearly to the ground. My wife is a big fan of tiny houses, and I have to say I am too, and she often sees A-frame tiny houses on Instagram and shows them to me every once in a while, and some of them are absolutely beautiful. Relatively simple house that a lot can be done with. As far as I know. I don't know. Next is afreet or afrit, A-F-R-E-E-T or A-F-R-I-T. This is a noun from 1786. A powerful evil jinni, J-I-N-N-I, demon or monstrous giant in Arabic mythology. I have never heard of this. Maybe I'll have to see what one of these looks like. And I've never heard of a jinni, but that's because I'm sheltered. Next is afresh, A-F-R-E-S-H. This is an adverb from the 15th century, from a fresh beginning. Synonyms are anew and again. Next is the first form of the word African with a capital A at the beginning. This is a noun from before the 12th century. 1. A native or inhabitant of Africa. 2. A person, and especially a black person, of African ancestry. Next is the second form of African. This is an adjective from 1564. Of, relating to, or characteristic of the continent of Africa or its people. Africanness is a noun. Next is Africana. This is a noun from 1908. Materials as books, documents, or artifacts relating to African history and culture. Next is African American with a dash in the middle. Both the A's in each of those are capitalized. This is a noun from 1831. An American of African and especially of black African descent. This is a tricky word. There can be, for lack of a better term, black people in America who are African American because their families did come from Africa. They could have directly come from Africa themselves. They could have been born there and moved to America. But we do, I think, tend to maybe overuse this word because there are so many people who are quote-unquote black who are not from Africa and are from other parts of the world but are living in America or their families have been living in America for a long time. And so you never really know where somebody is from. And not that this term is inaccurate or shouldn't be used in any way, but we do tend to use it, I think, in ways when we're not really thinking if it should be used or not. And I just have to throw in that this, in my view, and I think I'm not the only one who holds this, this is what America is about. People from all over the world coming to one place, living together, hopefully peacefully, that is the goal, and that is what makes America. That is the entire point of America. Unfortunately, we have, hundreds of years ago, got rid of a lot of people who were living here natively. But I hope that we can move past that and kind of understand where we all came from and accept that and feel bad about it, obviously, but also come together as a place where people from all walks of life and all parts of the world literally can come together and call themselves American. That is what America is about. After that little speech, I will move on. Next is African buffalo. This is a noun from 1784. The definition is just the synonym Cape buffalo. Next is African daisy, noun from 1731. Any of a genus, Arctotis, of widely cultivated composite herbs native to southern Africa. And Arctatus, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, is the genus of the African daisy. Next is Africander, spelled either with a C or a K. This is a noun from 1837. Any of a breed of tall, red, large-horned, humped southern African cattle used chiefly for meat or draft. Next is African elephant. This is a noun from 1607. It just has the synonym elephant 1A. So the 1A definition of the word elephant, which we will get to in the future. And I think I will just go ahead and read one more for this episode. This is African gray, capital A, Frican, Gray. This is a noun from 1858. A parrot native to equatorial Africa that has some gray plumage, a red tail, and a whitish face, and is commonly domesticated, especially for its ability in learning to talk. And the scientific name for this parrot is, let's see if I can pronounce this, Psittacus erythacus, Psittacus erythacus. Psittacus erythacus. That will end this episode. Thank you very much for listening, and I will speak to you in the next episode, which will be the last portion of page 22. Thank you and goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode. First word is Africanize, capital A, Fricanise. This is the British variance of Africanize with a ZE, which I assume we will get to. Yes, we will get to that in a few words. Next is Africanism. This is a noun from 1641. 1. A characteristic feature of African culture. 2. A characteristic feature of an African language occurring in a non-African language. 3. Allegiance to the traditions, interests, or ideals of Africa. Africanist is an adjective. That is our next word, Africanist. This is a noun from 1852. A specialist in African languages or cultures. Here we have Africanize, the American spelling. This is a transitive verb from 1817. 1. To cause to acquire a distinctively African trait. 2. To bring under the influence, control, or cultural or civil supremacy of Africans and especially Black Africans. Africanization is a noun. Next is Africanized bee. This is a noun from 1970. A honeybee that originated in Brazil as an accidental hybrid between an aggressive African subspecies, Apis or Apis mellifera scutellata, and previously established European honeybees, and has spread to Mexico and the southernmost U.S. by breeding with local bees producing populations retaining most of the African bee's traits, called also Africanized honeybee or killer bee. Next is African mahogany. This is a noun from 1831, just has the synonym mahogany 1B. Next is African swine fever. This is a noun from 1948, also just has the synonym swine fever 2. Next is African violet. This is a noun circa 1897. Any of the several tropical African gesneriads, especially St. Paulia ionantha, widely grown as houseplants for their velvety, fleshy leaves and showy purple, pink, or white flowers. Next is African wild dog. This is a noun from 1827. A powerful canid, Lycaon pictus, that has a mottled coat of black, white, and reddish-yellow, lives and hunts in packs, and was formerly common in sub-Saharan Africa, but is now restricted to small populations in southern and eastern Africa, called also African hunting dog. Next is Afrikaans, capital A-F-R-I-K-A-N-S. A-A-N-S. This is the first form. This is a noun from 1892. A language developed from 17th century Dutch that is one of the official languages of the Republic of South Africa. I never realized that the Dutch had such an influence on South Africa, but maybe I should have. Second form of Afrikaans. This is an adjective from 1923 of or relating to Afrikaners or Afrikaans. Next is Afrikaner. A-F-R-I-K-A-N-E-R. The A is capitalized. This is a noun from 1824. A South African of European descent whose native language is Afrikaans. The first person I can think of who would be an example would be, of course, I believe Charlize Theron, and I think that's how you pronounce her last name. She, I believe, is from South Africa. I don't know a lot of the history, or really much of the history of that area, but especially when you look at this definition, you learn that people of European descent, so to put it simply, white people, went to South Africa, and there has been a lot of I know race issues in that area for many, many years, caused lots and lots of problems. Afrikanerdom is a noun. That is a funky word. A-F-R-I-K-A-N-E-R-D-O-M. Next is Afro, capital A-F-R-O. This is a noun from 1966. A hairstyle of tight curls in a full, evenly rounded shape. Afroed, with an ed at the end, is an adjective. And there is a little black and white drawing of a person with an afro. Looks like an African-American woman with a small to medium-sized afro. We'll keep this short. I tried a few takes of it, and I felt like I was very stupid. But real quick, I do feel like I've seen a resurgence in afros in recent years by the African-American and Black communities. And to me, it seems like they seem to be owning their culture and their ancestry more than they have in the last 20 to 30 years. And it's really, really nice to see, especially from somebody who really doesn't have much of a culture or ancestry to go to. Not that I really care, but for them, I think it is pretty important to them and to culture in general, and I think more people need to do that. There's definitely a divide in our country, and I don't like it, and people are doing what they can, and I want to do what I can to get rid of that divide. Next is Afro-American. This is a noun from 1889, and it just has the synonym African-American, so it's just a shortened version of that. And I have a feeling that there's probably a specific reason or context that Afro-American would be used instead of African-American. But I'm not exactly sure what that is. Next is Afro-Asiatic. This is an adjective from 1922 of relating to or being a family of languages widely distributed over southwestern Asia and Africa, including the Semitic, Egyptian, Berber, Cushitic, and Chadic subfamilies. And to be perfectly honest, I don't know what some of those are. I apologize for my ignorance, but I do have a lot to learn. Next is Afrocentric. This is an adjective from 1966. 1. Centered on or derived from Africa or the Africans. 2. Emphasizing or promoting emphasis on African culture and the contributions of Africans to the development of Western civilization. Afrocentricity is a noun. Afrocentrism is a noun, and Afrocentrist is a noun or an adjective. Next, we have aft, A-F-T, all lowercase. This is the first form out of 4, and this will be the last word for the day, or the fourth version will be the last one. This is an adverb from 1580, near toward or in the stern of a ship or the tail of an aircraft, as in called all hands aft. The etymology is saying this is from Old English aiftan, which means from behind or just behind, and it is akin to the Old English after, which is spelled A-E-A-F-T-E-R. Next is the second form of aft. This is an adjective from 1667, and it just has the synonym rearward and after to. So the second definition of the word after, as in the aft decks, D-E-C-K-S. Now we have the third form of aft. This is a Scottish variation of oft, O-F-T. And lastly, we have the fourth form of aft, and it is an abbreviation for the word afternoon. That will end this episode. Thank you for listening, and until next time, this is Spencer reading the dictionary. Goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of the dictionary. Today, we are starting at the top of page 23 with AFT, all caps. This is an abbreviation for 1. American Federation of Teachers. 2. Automatic fine tuning. Next is the first form of after, A-F-T-E-R. This is an adverb from before the 12th century, following in time or place. And the synonyms are afterward, behind, and later, as in, we arrived shortly after, or returned 20 years after. Unless it's a quote, I am very curious where they get these examples from. Who writes them? Why do they write them in this way? Some of them seem a little specific, I guess would be a word. That would be a word. Etymology for this is from the Old English after, spelled A-E-F-T-E-R. It is akin to O-H-G, which I think is Old something German, maybe, which is aftar, which means after, and probably to Old English of, O-F, which means of. Second form of after, and wow, we have 6 forms of after. I have not seen that before. Second form is a preposition from before the 12th century. 1a, behind in place, as in people lined up one after another. 1b, 1, subsequent to in time or order, as in 20 minutes after 6. 1b, 2, subsequent to and in view of, as in after all our advice. 2. Used as a function word to indicate the object of a stated or implied action, as in go after gold, or was asking after you. 3. So as to resemble as, 3a, in accordance with. 3b, with the name of or a name derived from that of, as in named after his father. 3c, in the characteristic manner of, in imitation of, as in writing after the manner of Hemingway. Now we have the third form of after. This is a conjunction from before the 12th century, subsequently to the time when, as in we will come after we make plans. Fourth form of after is an adjective, still from before the 12th century. 1. Later in time, as in after years. That sounds very weird to me. 2. Located toward the rear and especially toward the stern of a ship or tail of an aircraft. I wish you gave me an example. Fifth form of after is a verbal auxiliary. I don't know what that means. This is from 1792. It is chiefly Irish, used with a present participle to indicate action completed and especially just completed, as in, the poor old man is after dying on me. That is from J.M. Synge or Synge, S-Y-N-G-E. Not familiar. Now we have the sixth and last form of after. This is a noun from circa 1902, not before the 12th century. It just has the synonym afternoon, so it's, I guess, a shorter way to say afternoon. Next is after all, 2 words. This is an adverb from 1641. 1. In spite of considerations or expectations to the contrary. Synonym is nevertheless, as in, decided to take the train after all, or didn't rain after all. And where I am, it is actually raining right now. 2. In view of all circumstances, as in, literature which is, after all, only a special department of reading. And that is from W. W. Watt. His initials are WWW. Next we have afterbirth, all one word. This is a noun from 1587. The placenta and fetal membranes that are expelled after delivery. Next is afterburner, all one word. This is a noun from 1947. 1. A device incorporated into the tailpipe of a turbojet engine for injecting fuel into the hot exhaust gases and burning it to provide extra thrust. 2. A device for burning or catalytically destroying unburned or partially burned carbon compounds in exhaust, as from an automobile. Next we have aftercare, all one word. This is a noun from 1843. The care, treatment, help, or supervision given to persons discharged from an institution as a hospital. I have received aftercare instructions because I have had 2 hernia surgeries. Not 1, but 2 hernia surgeries. It was wonderful. Next, we have afterclap. This is all one word, a noun from the 14th century. An unexpected, damaging, or unsettling event following a supposedly closed affair. Ooh, what is that affair? Next, we have after deck. This is a noun from 1797. The part of a deck abaft amidships. Whoa, some words I don't know. Abaft is A-B-A-F-T, and amidships is actually all one word. I have not ever seen that before. The part of a deck abaft amidships. Still doesn't help me understand what after deck is. I may have to look that up. Next we have after effect, all one word. This is a noun from 1659, an effect that follows its cause after an interval. Next is afterglow, all one word. This is a noun from 1832. 1. A glow remaining where a light has disappeared. 2. A pleasant effect or feeling that lingers after something is done, experienced, or achieved, as in basking in the afterglow of success. Next we have afterguard, and I'm just looking at our position on the page. I think we will do 1 or 2 more. Afterguard is a noun from 1750. 1. The sailors stationed on the poop or after part of a ship. So I think we've probably all heard the term poop deck, and the after part of a ship, I assume aft is the shortened version of after, and I'm not a boat guy, but I think that might be the back. Maybe if I go back to our previous episode, what does it say? Yes, aft is like behind, near, toward, or in the stern of a ship or the tail of an aircraft. Yes, I think it's the back. So the after, what was I on? After guard? Yes, after guard. It's in the back of a ship, I'm going to guess. 2. The decision-making members of a sailboat racing team, usually including a helmsman, tactician, and navigator. And we will do 1 more for this episode. After hours, there is a dash in the middle. This is an adjective from 1902, engaged in or operating after a legal or conventional closing time, as in after hours drinking or an after hours club. That will do it for this episode. Thank you for listening. And as always, please send me your comments and questions and whatever to email or Twitter. It's all in the episode details. Thank you and goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of the dictionary. First word for today is after image. This is all one word. It is a noun from 1840. A usually visual sensation occurring after stimulation by its external cause has ceased. If I am understanding this correctly, this is something that I see fairly often, especially when I'm looking at a bright-ish image, like not usually the sun, but a light or something that is brighter than its surroundings. And I close my eyes and I still see it imprinted on my eye for a decent amount of time. Also, I've seen, like, if I'm looking at a person and they are against like a blank wall that's a sort of contrasting color, either lighter or darker than them and their clothes, if you look away or close your eyes, you can see an after image of their shape. Next, we have afterlife, all one word. This is a noun from circa 1593. 1. An existence after death. We don't have proof of that, but maybe one day we will if it does actually exist. 2. A later period in one's life. 3. A period of continued or renewed use, existence or popularity beyond what is normal, primary, or expected, as in a TV show with a long afterlife in syndication. We know many examples of that. Next, we have aftermarket. This is a noun from 1940. 1. The market for parts and accessories used in the repair or enhancement of a product, as an automobile. 2. A secondary market available after sales in the original market are finished, as in a movie in the video cassette aftermarket. Wow, that is a dated example. I don't think not the movie. What am I talking about? The dictionary. I'm pretty sure DVDs and Blu-rays existed after this dictionary was written. Maybe they just forgot to update that one. But at a certain point in time, that was accurate. Next is aftermath. This is all one word. I don't think it has to do with math and numbers and things, so let's read it to find out. This is a noun from 1523. 1. A second growth crop, also called rowen, R-O-W-E-N. 2. Has these synonyms consequence and result, as in stricken with guilt as an aftermath of the accident. 3. The period immediately following a usually ruinous event, as in the aftermath of the war. Next, we have aftermost, all one word. This is an adjective from 1773. The whole definition just says farthest aft. So I'm assuming that means, if we're doing ships and planes and such, it is in the back, but the furthest away possible. Next, we have afternoon, all one word. This is a noun from the 13th century. 1. The part of day between noon and sunset. 2. A relatively late period, as of time or life, as in the afternoon of the 19th century. Afternoon is also an adjective. Next, we have afternoons with a S at the end. This is an adverb, circa 1697. In the afternoon repeatedly, on any afternoon. Next, we have after party. There is a dash in the middle. This is a noun from 1961. Our previous word, I think it was the last word of the last episode, after hours, kind of goes hand in hand with this one. A party for invited guests that follows a main party or event. Next is after peace, P-I-E-C-E, all one word. This is a noun from 1770. A short, usually comic entertainment performed after a play. That is definitely something that I'm sure was done many years ago. I have never seen an after piece like that when I go to a play. Not that I go to plays very often, but I wonder when the custom of that stopped. What years was it going on? Obviously, it started in 1770, and when did it end? Maybe I'll look it up. Next, we have afters, A-F-T-E-R-S. This is a noun circa 1909. It is British for the word dessert, dessert. So, if the Brits are talking about dessert, they might say afters. I kind of like that. Next is aftershave, all one word. This is a noun from 1946. A usually scented lotion for use on the face after shaving. Next is aftershock, all one word. This is a noun from 1847. 1. An after effect of a distressing or traumatic event. 2. A minor shock following the main shock of an earthquake. Next is aftertaste, all one word. This is a noun circa 1754. Persistence of a sensation as of flavor or an emotion after the stimulating agent or experience has gone. This is a perfect example of why I think dictionaries are pretty interesting, and the people who write the definitions originally, I guess, were doing a good job. It says it could be flavor or an emotion, and right off the top of my head, of course, the only thing I thought of was flavor, the aftertaste of the flavor in your mouth, on your tongue. But because it's not specifically limited to a flavor, the definition has to cover all its bases. And so I think this is a good example of one of those situations. Persistence of a sensation could be emotional, could be a physical flavor sensation after the stimulating agent, whatever it was that caused that emotion, or whatever food you put in your mouth to create that flavor, or experience. So yeah, stimulating agent or experience has gone. That's my 2 cents on aftertaste. Next, we have after tax. There is a dash. This is an adjective from 1947. Remaining after payment of taxes, and especially of income tax, as in an after-tax profit. Next is afterthought, all one word. This is a noun from 1644. 1. An idea occurring later. 2. Something as a part or feature not thought of originally. Something secondary. Next we have after time. I moved the mic a little bit, so I apologize if this sounds different. After time, all one word. This is a noun from 1597. It just has the synonym future. So our future is our after time. That's an interesting way to look at it. Next is afterword. All one word, W-A-R-D, if you didn't know, or if I'm saying it's stupid. This is an adverb from 13th century, at a later or succeeding time. And the synonyms are subsequently and thereafter. Next we have afterword, W-O-R-D, all one word. This is a noun from 1890, and it just has the synonym epilogue 1. I'm going to assume that when I say a synonym with a number after it, and sometimes a letter, you understand what I'm saying, because I expect every single one of you to have listened to this podcast from episode 1, and you have learned as I have learned or you have learned with me as I go through this, what those mean. Next is afterworld, all one word. This is a noun from 1596, a future world, a world after death. Next we have AFTRA, A-F-T-R-A. This is all caps, and it is an abbreviation for American Federation of Television and Radio Artists. My dad is a member of AFTRA and also SAG. I think they've kind of combined. SAG is the Screen Actors Guild. He's an actor. He made his living. He did some plays before I was born, but after I was born, I guess I threw a wrench into everything, and he went into mostly voiceover work for radio and TV, and that's what he did. Next, we have AG, ag, all lowercase. This is an adjective from circa 1918, of or relating to agriculture, as in ag schools. Next, we have AG with a capital A. This is a symbol for silver. If you look on the periodic table, you will see AG where it is what? For silver. Ag is silver. And the Latin is argentum or argentum, Argentum. That is, I guess, the Latin word for silver, and that is why the periodic table symbol of Ag is for silver. Next, we have Ag, all caps. This is an abbreviation for three things. 1, adjutant. Oh, did I have this word before? Adjutant general. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. Or no. It's adjutant general. The emphasis on the syllable was in the wrong place. Adjutant general. Okay, sorry about that. 2, joint stock company. And you might be wondering why AG is the abbreviation for that, and that is because it is from the German. What is that word? Aktiengesellschaft. Aktiengesellschaft. That's my guess. And 3, Attorney General. It is also an abbreviation for Attorney General. Next, we have AG dash. This is a prefix, and it just says CAD dash. And I saw that, I don't know, a few episodes ago. Go back and listen to the episode where it talks about AD dash. Next, we have the word again. And I'm going to move my mic again. Whoa! Honestly, I didn't even plan that. I moved the mic because we're at the bottom of the page, and I've got one of those meshy things in front of the microphone, so when I say p sounds, they don't sound so bad. And it was covering part of the word. Okay, or part of the definition. Again, this is an adverb from the 13th century. 1, in return. Synonym is back, B-A-C-K, as in, swore he would pay him again when he was able. That is from Shakespeare. 2, another time, once more. Synonym is anew, A-N-E-W, as in, I shall not look upon his like again. That is also from Shakespeare. 3, on the other hand, as in, he might go, and again he might not. That's from Nobody. 4, in addition. The synonym is besides, as in, again, there is another matter to consider. And matter was M-A-T-T-E-R. I don't think I enunciated very clearly. The etymology is saying this is from the Old English ongean, O-N-G-E-A-N, and the E has a line over it, horizontal line, and that means opposite and back. That is from Gian, G-E-A-N, which means still or again. And what else? Also from the Old something German, gegen, which means against, and toward. And we have one more for this episode. The phrase is again and again. This is an adverb from 1604. At frequent intervals. And the synonyms are often and repeatedly. That will do it for this episode. Thank you for listening to my stupid voice say lots of words to you. Thank you and goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of the dictionary. We are at the top of the second column of page 23, which means we are currently halfway through this page and will be 3/4 of the way through this page when I'm done reading it and you are done listening to me reading it. Okay, first word for today is against, A-G-A-I-N-S-T. This is the first form of it, and it's decently long. It is a preposition from the 13th century. 1a, in opposition or hostility to, as in, spoke against his enemies. 1b, contrary to, as in, against the law. 1c, in competition with, as in, racing against each other. 1d, as a basis for disapproval of, as in, had nothing against him. 2a, directly opposite. The synonym is facing, F-A-C-I-N-G, as in, she sat down just over against me. That is from Daniel Defoe. 2b is obsolete. Definition is exposed to. 3. Compared or contrasted with, as in profits are up against last year. 4a. In preparation or provision for, as in saving against an uncertain future. 4b. As a defense or protection from, as in a shelter against the cold. 5a. In the direction of and into contact with, as in knocked against the ropes. 5b. In contact with, as in leaning against the wall. 6. In a direction opposite to the motion or course of, counter to, as in sail against the wind. 7a. As a counterbalance to, as in weighing risk against profit. 7b. In exchange for, as in a lower rate against the dollar. 7c. As a charge on, as in charged against her account. 8, and this is the last one, before the background of, as in viewed against the sky. Now we have the second form of against. This is a conjunction from the 14th century. It is archaic. In preparation for the time when, as in throw on another log of wood, against father comes home. That is from Charles Dickens. That is a very interesting use of the word against to me, but again, it is archaic, so I've never heard it used that way. Next we have Agamemnon, capital A, G-A-M-E-M-N-O-N. This is a noun from the 14th century. A king of Mycenae, I will spell that momentarily, and leader of the Greeks in the Trojan War. Mycenae is probably being pronounced wrong. It is M-Y-C-E-N-A-E. I have heard Agamemnon's name, but I never really knew who he was. Next we have agamic. No. Agamic. A-G-A-M-I-C. This is an adjective from 1816. It just has the synonym asexual or parthenogenic. Parthenogenetic. There we go, parthenogenetic. The etymology is saying this is from the Greek agamos, which means unmarried, and that is from gamos, which means marriage. Agamic. So it's A, putting the A in front of it, as we've seen in the past, makes gamic the opposite of gamic. And I don't know what gamic means, but I'm going to assume it's something sexual or married or something like that, because this synonym is asexual. Next is agamaglobulinemia. Let's try that one again. Agamaglobulinemia. Agamaglobulinemia. I want to say linemia, but I think it's... Oh, no, that's right. Linemia. Okay. This is a noun circa 1952. A condition in which the body forms few or no gamma globulins or antibodies. And agamaglobulinemic is an adjective. I kind of want to say the word again. Agamaglobulinemia. Agamaglobulinemia. Okay, moving on. Agamospermy. Agamospermy. Yep, that's right. Agamospermy. This is a noun from 1944. We have the synonym apogamy. Apogamy. A-P-O-G-A-M-Y. And then it says specifically, apogamy in which sexual union is not completed and the embryo is produced from the innermost layer of the integument of the female gametophyte. Integument, I do not know how to pronounce that, is spelled I-N-T-E-G-U-M-E-N-T. G-U-M-E-N-T, and gametophyte is G-A-M-E-T-O-P-H-Y-T-E. Another definition that has words I don't know. Next, we have agapanthus. Agapanthus. There we go. Agapanthus. A-G-A-P-A-N-T-H-U-S. This is a noun from circa 1789. Any of several African plants, genus Agapanthus, of the lily family, cultivated for their umbels of showy blue, purple, or white flowers. The etymology says this is from the Greek agape or agape plus anthos, which means flower, and there's more at the word anthology. Next we have agape, or no, wait, this is a different spelling. Agape. That is how this one is pronounced, A-G-A-P-E. The pronunciation guide is telling me this is agape. It is a noun from 1607. One has the synonyms, or no, just the synonym love feast. I am super curious what a love feast is. The second definition has the synonym love for a. And this is from the Greek agape with an line over the E, and it literally means love. I feel like that's something I should have known, but I didn't. Agape means love, or love feast, depending on what the hell you're talking about. Next is agape. That's the one that I wanted to say before. It is the second form of the same spelling of the word, pronounced differently. It is an adjective or adverb from 1667. 1. Wide open. Synonym is gaping, as in with mouth agape. It's kind of like when the door is ajar, but it's not. 2. Being in a state of wonder. Next we have the word agar, A-G-A-R. This is a noun circa 1813. 1. A gelatinous, colloidal extractive of a red algae or alga, it's spelled A-L-G-A, as of the genera Gelidium, Gracilaria, and Eucuma, used especially in culture media or as a gelling or stabilizing agent in foods. Whoa. 2. A culture medium containing agar. And I think we will do one more for this episode. It is agar. There is a dash in the middle. A-G-A-R, A-G-A-R. This is a noun from 1820, and it just has the synonym agar, but the etymology is saying it is from Malay. That will do it for this episode. Thank you for listening as usual. I'm going to stop talking and hit the stop button and then hit the record button again so I can record one more episode today, which will be the last portion of page 23. Thank you and goodbye.